Am I live for realsies? Oh, yeah, I am. Wow. Usually I had to take a thumbnail. They stopped doing that. Okay, people. Hold on. This looks just completely ridiculous. Let me see if I can elevate this. I got a stack of a book right here and a freaking laptop. Boom. That's what we're talking about. Okay, that's good enough. All right. So if you are paying attention, or if you are watching my channel and you see that I had new episodes up, you probably noticed that they are a hot mess. And in a previous iteration of me, I would have freaked out. I would have, or you know what, I would have just been like, you know what, I give up. I'm eating cheese fries and I'm going to go lay down and I'll deal with this tomorrow. But my usual attitude. I mean, come on. The way that you can't know spending an hour of my time and then waste like having it come to nothing, the way that would have debilitated me back in the day, you have no idea. But I did, it was pretty weird. And if you look at it, I mean, it's kind of a weird error. Now I have YouTube problems all the time, like as far as uploading. So I went to go to the original videos and re-upload them. They were the ones that were messed up. Now I'm like, okay, how does it look like that? How does that get messed up on my phone? Going in and out like that. That was extra weird. Don't you think that's extra weird? And I also think it's extra weird. So when I saw that, I mean, this is how I'm doing things nowadays. I was like, okay, well, the devil is a liar. Like, surprise, surprise. I was pretty sure who the culprit was because it was just so extra weird and petty. Somebody's got the pettiness. That's how you know it's him, because it'd be petty on top of it. So I was like, okay, devil. And for a hot second, I was like, ugh, because I don't really have anything else to do today. And as you would have known, if the video had panned out, like my entire family is out of town today. So I am at home by myself, by my lonesome, for the next day and a half at the very least. And I took one of my chocolates. I took a half of this, boom, while I was doing my video. I had the tube, but I guess I put it back where it goes of what it was. But it's CBD and D9. I think it's 20 milligrams D9 and 40 CBD. I think that's what it is. And I took that at 12:30. Well, I didn't. It's 2 o'clock, 2:20 now. I'm not really feeling it kick in, which is strange. It's kind of too strange almost. Just as strange as my videos being gone. So now I'm like, Lord, you got something planned. I call him Bay. You might as well know because it's probably going to happen. I was like, okay, I think he wants this to happen today. But I'm still going to do my recap. And now it's going to be even more crisp now that I got to do it a second time. So, okay. Season 2 recap. So where we last left off, season 1, I think the last thing that I said was that he said, you're going to be a junkie for me. And I was like, come again. And then I started learning to prophesy. What's even more annoying is that I literally like put strikes through everything I talked about. So now I got to like extra look hard and read whatever. So yeah, so that was the end of season 1. And season 2 began literally the next day. And I wasn't high or anything. It was literally like the next morning, but I was thinking about what God had told me. And, at first it was like, girl, the devil's out here playing games. It's always half and half. You know what I mean? Could be God, could be the devil. Hell, at least half. Seem like the healthy, um, amount of skepticism to have. So, but like as I was settling into the news and I was trying to figure out what he even could mean by that, as far as like, because he said, you're not low enough, and that's why you're not reaching the people that you want to reach. And he said, low in the sense of humility, not in the sense of like being, whatever. We're just talking about humility and humbling, you know what I'm saying? Because I am not a junkie at all. And it definitely certainly wasn't at the time. So, and didn't want to be one, you know what I'm saying? Was not curious, you know what I'm saying? Like, so, so that was a lot. But I also had to concede that, he was starting to use this prophecy gift that I apparently had, which I don't know. It sounds like I'm going to talk about today. Oh my gosh. All right, Lord. No, I love you. You're great. We're going to do it like this. So is that how you want to do it? That's how we do it. So, yeah, so that started coming out, and it was really by accident. Like, it just started flowing out, and I didn't catch on to what was happening, until later when I started, learning it in earnest. But that was like the first instance of it. And yeah, you heard it. So, or what I said about it. So all that was running through my brain, and I kind of was starting to sort of warm up to it. Like, after a while, it takes a little bit of time for things to settle in. But I'm a unique person, so I'm kind of like, my first instinct when somebody tells me something insane is like to figure out how to like find a way to ride. You know what I'm saying? How do I help them? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not thinking about like, you don't have to actually like, I don't know. I just have a thing of like, well, what are we going to do now? Like, that's my next thing. So, so I'm thinking about it and I'm going, well, sis, like, I'm reminding myself of all these Bible verses and how dangerous they could be. I bought a freaking circle light. Aren't you proud of me? I actually always had this, but I wasn't using it. It's part of my, like, when I put my phone up or whatever. Is that how it's supposed to go? I don't know. Do I like that? I don't know. Maybe I should just shut it off. But now I'm like used to it, and I think it's helping me. It's supposed to be in front of me, is it not? It was when I was using my freaking phone, but now it's like, look, now it's creating shadows, bro. I don't know anything about this stuff, dude. And now I'm just like, you look weirder than usual. It's because your ring light is not serving its purpose anymore. And now it's just making it's just making your nose look very big, like bigger than you're used to looking at it. I could just shut it off probably. It's light. I mean, for goodness sake, it's 2 in the afternoon. How do I shut you off? Do I just, okay. Boom. It's the above light. Maybe it's a combination. I don't know. Anyways, so yeah, I'm thinking about it and I'm going, well, I don't know. Honestly, being a junkie might suit your personality better. I was like, because you just want to be able to say, it's like people will definitely let you talk about God if you're a junkie. Like, they'll just sit and listen to you and politely and won't ever say anything. Like, he might be having you do some like covert ops shit or something. And I'm just like, I don't know. I'm not really like, I don't know why he's giving me this like James Bond task, if that's what it is. Like, he know not to do that. That don't seem like, so I'm like wrestling with it. And then I'm like, well, I know one thing. you'll be whatever you need to do to get what you need, you're gonna do. It's like maybe some dope sickness will help you freaking get over your shyness or whatever. And I don't know if is anybody old enough to remember the Michigan J Frog situation. But like it was very thinking about like, yeah, maybe you get on the street, you'll be like, hello, my baby. Like, you'd be like trying to tell people, you'd be trying to prophesy in, probably trying to get anything done. And so I'm like having this sort of dumb conversation with myself in my brain. And God is like sort of breaks in the middle of that. And he's like, yeah, because, if you get up here and you haven't done what I told you to do, you're going to be in trouble. And I was like, what? He was like, not done what I told you to do, but like, if you haven't used any of those talents that I gave you, you're going to be in trouble with me. Kind of was the vibe. And I was like, I was like, what? So I literally just was bawling and freaking out because he was essentially like telling me, I don't know if you've heard me talk about how I used to be so, scared to ask him how I was doing. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know. I just had to think about it. And I felt like, I'm supposed to, I don't know, like, I had this idea that I had that I had some kind of like high calling or something. But like, I really just didn't want to hear any negative feedback. And so the parable of the talents was like that. There's no higher anxiety for me than that passage of, I saw that you were a shrewd man, so I put your talent into the ground. And, trying to sort of spiritually get around that passage and be like, because I'm thinking, am I doing that? Is that me? Is that me? Is that me? And, kind of dreading, it's like, sis, if you're asking that much, it probably is you. Like, you don't identify with neither of the other ones. But the reason why I didn't identify, it's like, I just feel like I had these gifts that I just hadn't used. And I felt like, well, I'm not using them because nobody's interested. Like, I can't make people be interested in the shit. Like, it's just not the type of thing that grab people. Like, you got to do a bunch of stuff. Like, I can't, look at me. I'm not somebody that's going to like get the world's attention in 2024. You know what I'm saying? Like, or whatever, like even worse now. It's like all of the attributes, all the things that could get you noticed in this day and age is like going in complete opposite with who I am. It's just like, okay, well, he can't blame me for that. You know what I'm saying? But then it's like, but I felt like the pressure, like, I felt like I was supposed to be doing something. It's like, well, you're just assuming. You need to find out for sure. But that was scary. So he sort of eased me into this news. He started with the good news first, which is that he loves me. You know what I'm saying? And, he's got all these plans for me. But the bad news is like, yeah, if you come back up here having used none of that, you're going to be in trouble. Like, he literally said that. And I was like, unconsolable. So the very first episode of season 2 is literally, I kind of moved him around so that they, but the first episode is just me blubbering about what he told me. And I said, first I was like, sis, does that sound like he's freaking playing around? I didn't say freaking, you know what I'm saying? This will probably devolve here in a second. I think he wants that to happen. So, but yeah, I was like, does that sound like he's freaking playing? I was like, he got me. I was like, he's got me. He's like, I'm cooked in either direction. I'm cooked because if I don't continue, then I could be disobeying him. Now, I could not be. It's like, do I take the blue pill? You know what I'm saying? It's like, if I take the blue pill, it could just be fine. Or I could be in complete and total disobedience to him. Or I take this red pill and my life just does whatever it does. You know what I'm saying? But at least I won't be in trouble with him. And that was kind of his thing, was like, he was putting this thing in front of me. He's like, I see that you're afraid. Like, he's giving me this huge, huge piece of saying here that I'm going to be a junkie for him and I'm going to be prolific and all of these things. It's like this thing I can't understand. He giving me this huge thing that I can't understand and could never make up for myself. You're right, Boo. This is a lot better. And would never make up for myself. Or, you go lay back in your bed, blue pill. You know what I'm saying? And he's like, you got to decide what you fear more. Like, he's like, do you fear, you're thinking about your kids and your family. Okay. You say that I got that you rely on me to take care of them. Like, I got them. You're not supposed to love them more than me. So there's that. Like, let's go down the list of your stuff here, so I can use the Bible to indict you instead of you trying to use it to indict me. You know what I'm saying? He's like, so you're not supposed to do that. And if you're more afraid of whatever this is about to look like than you are of me and what you know me to be, like, do you really have the fear of the Lord, or do you not? And I realized that I was in the middle of this, like, really serious thing. Like, because this voice that was calling out to me was starting to require things of me more and more. And though it did resemble God, I could find places where it could be God. It was also, I won't say that it resembled the devil, but it's like the devil is largely unfamiliar as far as like what drives him. And like, you kind of just have a working idea of like what he does and what he can do and why he would do those things. So you don't have a complete understanding. You might have an understanding of like what he's liable to do, what he like, or what we're really stuck in the like what he has the ability to do and stuff. And but God has the ability to do anything. And that's one of the things that I won't say I learned it like I didn't know it, but it's like it got reiterated through this process, because he don't behave like somebody who is walking a line. We have to do that because we are fallen human beings. He none of that stuff. So he don't act like that. He's not perfect the way that you would think a person is perfect. We don't even know what that looks like. We are guessing when we say what perfection is. I mean, even God's own perfection, like, we just don't understand. It's like when the Jewish leaders were asking Jesus, like, they were taking heads of wheat off of the stalks or whatever. It was the Sabbath. And the religious leaders was like, oh, are you letting your disciples, isn't it the Sabbath that you, whatever? Or no, it was like, yeah, I think that's what it was. So, but the reason they were asking was like, can you do something imperfect if you're supposed to be God? And then Jesus politely, replied with some scripture of his own and was like, oh, well, your boy David, ain't that your boy? You know what I'm saying? Because you love righteousness so much, didn't he have to go and just gobble up the bread like it was the sacred bread, like it was, a pita? Like, he was okay. No one struck him down then, did they? Must have been okay to do it then. Like, he's sort of pointing out, okay, he doing his work. He pointed out, like, by saying that, he's pointing out, like, yeah, no, I'm not up here ready to zap people for not doing exactly what I say to do. Is it a matter of, was David holy for going in there and eating bread because he was hungry as hell? Or did I just give him a reprieve for that time? Like, is it really about the rules like you think it is? Like, because I got all these other tools like grace, you know, I've been using it for since the beginning of time, but I got all other things. I got a lot of tools to keep me from having to really zap anybody if I don't need to do that. I got grace, I got mercy, what I'm saying? Got a lot of things available to me. And then, that's just in Jesus's day, like before he died. Now it's like, forget it. He got the resources to just take anybody who's remotely interested. So, anyways, so yeah, he's doing these things where he's like, I just remember that particular, it started really, really with a hefty, it was like, do you fear me or not? Am I God or not? Because I had to come out there and I was vibing and I was like, God, why do you love me? And now he's like, look, you can't be, he told me what the plan was. There was an actual plan. It wasn't just about me vibing. Like, and he's like, this is what you gonna do. And I'm like, but it was nice of him to reason with me. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't like, you will do this or else. He was like, look, you're saying that you have the fear of the Lord and that he didn't even have to say that. He knew what it was. As soon as he said, do you fear me or not? I knew what it was. I knew what it was, bro. And I knew what he was trying to get at. So I was like, okay. It was just the assurance knowing that he was insistent on it. I wasn't just following this little voice that was nudging me into this, hellscape. It was like he had a purpose for it. So I was like, it was still really hard. Like, I remember I was recording that episode and I said, because he didn't give me a timeline. He didn't say when it was going to be, when we were going to start, how it was going to unfold or nothing. So I just remember being like, well, maybe if like my mom is dead, like maybe I can handle like completely becoming another person, like for the sake of God. Like, is that even something that he even asked people to do, sis? Like, he never heard of that. Like, what is this? And it's like, but I know what is happening to me. I know what he said. And just kind of like, are you willing to wait this out a little longer and see where this goes? Like, that was kind of like where I was at the time. Like, I had said yes to it, but I also knew it was still like step and step and step. It wasn't like this, fine, okay, I'll do this whole thing in whatever measure, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was still, and he even imposed on me the fact that at any point I could stop. You know what I'm saying? And I think even like in the subsequent episode, which only got worse because, I kept going with it and I was high and he said something like, I felt like I had like gotten through it and I was like, the initial shock of it was over. And I was like, but I was still confused because I'm still kind of doing, my end times. I'm still got my end times roots, you know what I'm saying? So I'm just like, yeah, but like, isn't it like a high watch time in August? I was like, I can't do all this and then like, leave in August or whatever. Like, I'm supposed to do this like within 6 weeks. Like, what are we talking about? And I said, but I was like, this could be going on for a long time, blah, blah, blah. And then he was like, yeah. And, if you have to get left behind to do what I'm telling you to do, that would really suck. And I was like, he was like, I'm sorry. He's like, I shouldn't have said that. Shit. Sorry. I was high. So that's where it was. That's what he was saying. He was like, I'm sorry. I was like, what? Oh my God. It was a lot more dramatic, but I'm just recapping. So that was the gist. And then I don't know, but this is going to be like a meandering mess. I can feel it kicking in. Like, he's hilarious, dude. I took this at 12:30. I should have been where I am at now at 1:30, like I should have been. And it was just like nothing. And I was like, because he's done this with me before for various things. So I'm like, that's interesting. It's also interesting that my entire thing that I just recorded, that I tried to record, early enough in the day so that I can have the day free, is suddenly missing and just completely just fucked up. Like, it just chopped up, like on my phone. Like, I went to my phone to re-upload. It was like, no, it's fucked up there too. Really? Okay. The devil is a liar. He's like, he's a bastard. Dang, that devil, he did it again. Oh my gosh. Well, sis, I guess you're going to have to get on the live like I told you to do. Oh, don't you hate it when he just come in? Ugh. Babe, you are so stupid and silly. Yeah, I just told him he's stupid. When I call him Bae, I can say all type of shit. That's why I just stopped calling him Lord, because I was like, I can't, it's just weird. Like, I call him Lord too. It's like, we got different whatevers. When I'm in trouble, I call him Bae. Like, or when I'm in trouble, what I mean is, like, in particular, if, like, if I'm being, I'm trying not to defy him or whatever, I'd be like, hey, no, babe, what I meant was, and then sometimes it's Lord, whatever. So blah, blah, blah. Okay. So, yeah. So that's just kind of what we're talking about. He's just telling me weird stuff. And I'm trying to practice the prophecy stuff at this time too, because, when it happened at the end of season 1, that was kind of like a fluke. It just like happened. And I didn't really know, like, now I'm like, okay, how do I learn? I'm going to learn to control it. You know what I'm saying? Because I got like kind of enamored with it afterwards. Like, even though I was listening to it and it was making me cringy and all that stuff, like, the ideas start going, and my brain is foaming up and it's thinking about, like, people seeing a prophecy that doesn't look like anything people have seen probably in the last freaking 1,000 years. Do you know what I mean? As far as, like, not just, this stilted thing that's sort of a mishmash of words that already exist in the Bible, like, and him just like putting them together and saying something new, because we can't envision him actually like ever talking. So we just rearrange the Bible's words somehow and make him say those things. And, like, he might have to say computer, you know what I'm saying? He might have to, like, you might have to hear a relevant word to your life, for the sake of context, but, otherwise we just keep it what it is, and he's totally coming through and talking to me, like, not just like, hello, I'm Dave. It's like he's using my personality to convey. Girl, it literally feels like he's using parts of me that I don't use a lot. Like, it's like, but it is me. It's like, I know that it's me, but I know that's also him. Like, it's very interesting. And so I was trying to learn it because, I'm envisioning me being able to do it, not high, right? And so that's what I first start working on, because I'm thinking, well, I can work on it like while I'm high, and then I can remember how to do it. And then maybe I can remember, maybe I'll retain the knowledge. And I just need to, like, I just need like a push, in this direction, because, I don't know what to do, and I'm not going to be able to figure it out with my regular cerebral brain. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, well, I'll just come here and we'll chat and then we'll take it back. I'm trying to figure out how this is going to work. You know what I'm saying? So that's all I'm thinking in my brain. And so I'm experimenting with it because I don't want to just be like, oh, I have the gift of prophecy. So now I'm going to just like consciously like try to talk in his voice. And then, it's like, I didn't want to do that. I wanted to have an actual understanding of how to do it. And so he was like very graciously helping me break that down, but that's actually a couple seasons later. So let's stay where we're at. So I was like, baby steps, I was baby steps experimenting with the prophecy thing. Well, I also, so before I was taking these, which I think I already broke down what's in them, but like I had used gummies in the past. I liked them and they were okay. I like edibles over like anything else. I don't like, the coughing is just atrocious. I can't. It's like, no, I'm also like old. I don't need to collapse my lungs, bro. Like if I was 16, like, and I'd have got a whole routine of this in, like, but I'm not. So I'm like, I can't do it. And I like just the edibles last a really long time. Well, I think like by season 2, like I had like, I don't know, I had bought some stuff and it was on and off. I had been using it. So it wasn't really working as much as it was in the past. And so I think that's the last. And then my husband, he goes through like a vape phase. So he was in his vape phase, I think. So that's probably what I was doing, but it was so sparse. Like season 1 was so sparse because I just was still fighting the whole process. And so I was like, yeah, I don't know if I want to, I was still apprehensive to use, even though I felt like he was telling me to, or he was encouraging me to, let's say. So I was like, that's crazy. What? And then it would be like 2 weeks down the road or whatever. Well, one day I think my husband came home with a vape, but he bought this. It was like at the counter, like when you check out. So he bought like 2 of them or whatever. And he was gonna like let me have one. I was like, I don't know. Like he's always bringing home like his tolerance is way higher than mine, so I'm always like super like taking like tiny chunks of whatever he's got. So I was like, I don't know, dude. Like, but I was freaked out because it looks like just a candy. Do you know what I'm saying? So that was the first time I'd ever seen anything like that. The gummies are like that, but they're huge, they're disgusting, they smell gross, and they come in a canister that like has a lock on it and all that stuff. Like this is just out, you know what I'm saying? And so I was just like really freaked out by it. So then I felt like I was saying like, oh wait, I think that was all the same time. Was that all the same day? I think it was. Okay, so that day or maybe the day after or whatever, like me and my husband like got in a fight or something. We were yelling. We're big yellers. So we're always yelling. And like we were going through this particular phase of life. It was yelling. And so that particular morning we were yelling and he was telling me something. He was trying to lecture me about whatever. And he just happened to say, he was like, something in you has to die. And when he said that, he didn't know what he could even possibly be saying. Whatever he was saying, it was whatever. It had nothing to do with what was going on with me because I was doing it privately. I wasn't telling anybody about what was going on. So, I'm sort of wrestling with this thing with God. Like I'm trying to accept it, and I am, but I'm also doing a lot of wrestling and kind of like not moving forward. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, I went from thinking that it was like, well, whenever I want, or whenever he said whenever, and now it's like he's telling me I gotta do this thing. And I don't know if he means he's gonna like give me junkie vibes, or if I have to literally go down the path in order to turn into this person. And how long is that gonna take? And does it have to be sudden? Can it just be like take a, whatever? I'm trying to be a wise person while doing this. You know what I'm saying? And it's just turning into like a disaster. So um he said when he said that, he was like, something in you has to die. It was just like, it just had this double meaning, you know what I'm saying? And I just was like, you're right. And I went to my room and I was just like, "Ooh," and I was like crying on the floor. And he came in like, yo, I'm just, it's okay. Like, my bad. I'm like, it's not even anything you said. Like, he didn't really understand. I was just like, "Ugh." And then I went maybe this happened like before I did this, because I went into my closet and I got my thing off the shelf and I took it out and I just took a big bite of it and put it back. And then I was crying or whatever. Because whatever. I felt like he was telling me to take that. So at that point, like, I would think I was laying in bed and it hasn't kicked in yet. This is, the thing I'm telling you about. Like, but it's on its way. And I can tell it's special. Because I think what I was taking before was just CBD, and this is CBD and D9, which is like something else. I don't know. It's something else as well. I don't have any knowledge really. Okay. So I think that's what did it, because I was already having this thing where God was talking to me and he was like, you have a double mind. And I was like, no, I don't. Like, and if you don't know, if you're not like growing up in church, like, bro, to have the double mind, you don't want to have that, bro. Like, there's a lot of things that you don't want to be, find out that you might be having a problem with. Like, there's just some that are just nails in the coffin. You know what I'm saying? So, pride, it's like there's these things that are just normal that, people are going to have in one measure or another. But like, that double mind is not something you want to have. So when he said that, I was like, no, I'm not. And he was like, I said, I'm not double-minded. I'm trying to be cautious. I was like, I'm trying to do this thing with you. Okay. I'm hearing what you're saying. I'm like fashioning a whole like thing out of this, but like, in case this is all just insane junkie business, then I got to retreat. Like, I got to understand. I got to remember how that mind also works. He's like, that's literally having two minds. Like, I was just like, no. He was like, why? Because that's the worst thing you could possibly have in the history of Christendom, is to have a double mind. I was like, yes. So I'm laying there and he's like, and I'm freaking out. He can tell that I'm freaking out. And he's like, you got to get rid of the double mind. He's like, you got to pick. Are you gonna like do this thing with me? And he's like, it's funny because he was like, listen, this thing I'm trying to get you to do is like the coolest thing ever. It's super cool. This other thing that you're trying to save is not cool at all, and no one cares. Like, he's like, do you want to do this super cool thing with me that will make me happy? You know what I'm saying? Because it's like he's bringing back the scripture. He like, what about lose your life? Like, I know you were thinking about that in a specific way, but this is how it's going to apply to you. You know what I mean? It's like, there's one thing you lack. You know what I'm saying? Sell all your possessions. It's like, for me, it was this. I mean, this thing is the culmination of whatever that thing would be for me. It's a perfect metaphor for it. You know what I'm saying? So he's like, you got to choose. And I'm like, well, duh, I choose you, duh. He was like, he was like, yay. I think he really did like do like a celebratory thing. And then he was like, okay, give me that. So he took away my other mind. And I was like, ugh. It was rough. And yeah, that is when, the chocolates became the drug of choice from that point because, bruh, it like the D9, that's what I'm saying. I think the D9 is doing something like I've been high on the CBD before, but something about the D9, it's like if you got an imagination of any kind, it's getting utilized. You know what I'm saying? Like, which is something I don't know. Like, I don't know if I said it before. I don't know if I said it in my previous video that got whatevered. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. Like, now I'm just gonna have to repeat myself, like if need be, because I don't remember when a bitch said it. But what the hell was I saying? Sorry, now I'm high, so that's gonna be it's gonna be a mess. I had a beautiful organized thing that I did, and it got all ruined. Okay, what was I saying? Something about like what if I said this before about what? I said that already. I said that already. Oh yeah, no. He was proving himself through this time. I wasn't just following a weird voice. Like, and I probably said it on the last video, but yeah, he's doing everything that he said he would do, and he's reminding me that, it's like he's got all the hallmarks, and he's doing things. It's not just like, oh, I recognize you as God. He will do things that are clearly designed to be like more comfortable for you, like more accommodating. It's like there's no other energy but the holy energy that's going to do things for you to that degree. Like, it's not just, oh, it's like if the demon throws a book across the room, it's like God is going to politely put it on the shelf where it goes. You know what I'm saying? He's not going to do that. And you can't say, it's like, well, that's a very polite ghost. It's like, yeah, maybe. But if that happens multiple days in a row, the same guy, and nothing ever there's literally no downside ever. Like nothing. There's no nosebleed, nothing. Like, so so I was always, peeping that type of stuff, you know what I'm saying? And was that the same day? No, that was the day after. So that was like, yeah, the first time I got high and with the chocolates. And I remember one of the first things that happened. It was so weird, dude. It was like I was with him in this, like, it was just me and him in this, like, whatever warehouse looking thing. Like, and when I say that, it's not like I'm seeing it. I'm already in here all the time. Like, this is where I live. So I just go in here, you know what I'm saying? So when I tell you that's what it was, that's what it was. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, thank you, Holy Spirit. So what I was going to say is that, yeah, he uses the imagination, and I just always thought that was really nice of him to do. Like, that's part of what made that first initial day so perfect, was that if he had shown up to me in a dream or a vision, or he just like visibly appeared to me, I would be in here. I wouldn't be able to focus. I wouldn't be able to savor. I wouldn't be able to. And I was always expecting to have that deficit if that ever did happen. I think that's part of the reason why I always tell him I don't want to see anything, because it just would be information overload. It wouldn't be fun for any of us. Like, I don't think, like, I would be so trying to whatever. So the fact that he appeared to me in here and then expanded the thing, like it was just like, that's someone who loves you. You know what I'm saying? Like, that ain't just no little thing. That's someone who loves you doing that. and he has the ability to love you in that manner. You know what I'm saying? So, so yeah, I was like, I showed up in this warehouse, and he said, I keep hearing him say, or over the course of the seasons, I keep hearing him say this thing about you're the only one. So I think this was maybe the first time, or maybe the second time. It was like maybe the second time I had heard that while being as high as I was. So it was like kicking in again. It's like every time he says something, it gets deeper anyways. So when he says something again and you high, it's like, so he's saying you're the only one. And I'm like, what? Because now I'm like altered. I'm like, what? He's like, and he's giving me this energy like, sorry. Like, he's like, sorry. I'm sorry. I shouldn't open with that. I'm sorry. Like, I'm like, what are we talking about? Because your brain is just like filling in because he's not going to give you the whole context of anything ever. He's just feeding it to you a little at a time. So I don't actually know what he mean by that. And he ain't hurrying to, like, he will never be like, okay, let me explain like what's going on. Like, he don't do that. He don't do that. It's very much like, it's like, I was telling my mom the other day, like, I think that's why our dreams are how they are, because he's like that. It's like the stream of consciousness thing. Like, he's very, like, you're in your dream, you're in your house that is, your high school is downstairs, and you're doing stuff that you did in college in high school, but you get the gist. It's just, and then you're off somewhere else and you open the door and you're in a completely different state. And then you're at your friend's party. Like, it's like, that's what he's like. Like, whatever you're talking about, if you're talking about it to the intensity that you're talking about it, he's never one to be like, oh, let's go back to that. Like, he will say that, but I'm just talking about like he's not insisting on what he wants to talk about. Like, he's just following you, you know what I'm saying? So, like, yeah, he's very stream of consciousness. And I brought up that that thing in the Gospels where, I think it's Mark, where it shows him. It's like, I think it starts with like the demoniac, and so he's casting demons on him. Then he's like gets on the boat and he's walking on the water. They're like, ah, and then, or no, was it the storm? No, so yeah, he calms the storm. Then they get to the shore. Then the guy's like, can you come help me? My daughter is sick. And he's like, all right, let's go. Then they're going. As they're going, one with the issue of blood. He's like, whoa, you know what I'm saying? And it's like a stream. He's not like, okay, this is what we're doing today, blah, blah, blah. It's like, I'm sure that's available to him, but he not worried about the control. So why would he show up with that energy? He's showing up with that stream of consciousness energy every time. And he is like sort of making you, he's not helping you figure anything out in the sense of like you have to ask him a question. You ask him the right question, you're going to get an answer, which is why I got so many answers that I got. Because a bitch know how to ask a question. That's for sure. So, so the level of answers that I'm getting, which is kind of like a reverse engineer, because you're like, okay, if Christine likes to ask questions, good questions, and you come visit her, then what is the logic conclusion one can draw is that he wants some questions answered, and he wants somebody to ask those questions. He picked the best asker that has ever asked to appear to her in such a manner over the course of multiple days. So one can conclude from that he wants questions answered. So anyways, I'm not really that high, so I don't think this is going to get too crazy. But famous last words. I hope there's no like terms and conditions about that. I feel like there's people being high on YouTube, right? That's a thing. It's got to be a thing. So he said that, and it was like, at the time, it was really weird, confusing energy, and I did not know where he was going with it. But I just remembered his. I eventually figured it out. So, spoiler alert, not spoiler, but just, you can stop me worrying about that. But at the time, it was super weird, and he wasn't helping me. He was just being as weird as it was. So he was like, "You're the only one." I was like, "What?" And he was like, "Shit, I'm sorry. I'm sorry." I was like, "What?" I was trying to figure out what he meant. I was like, "The only person that exists? What are you talking about? Everybody else is a freaking like decoy. Like, what are you talking about?" So I was like, I'm like, don't be having me out here like thinking some weird stuff that don't need to be thought up. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to be the one to do that. So after that, and then I had that thing happened, and I was like, that was insane. So I was like, I don't know, that was probably like a Friday or something, or a Thursday, because it probably was a Thursday. Because I remember like that Monday, the next following Monday was going to be my birthday. And so I was like, you can take the other half on your birthday. Like, because I'm always like having to assign holidays. Everything has to be a holiday for me to like give things. It's stupid. I just like, I don't know, I have a thing about like apropos moments in life. So I'm always like, if I see something like for someone, I gotta like hold it for a holiday. I can't just be like, here you go. Like it was literally 7:50. Like I thought of you. Like that creeps me out. Like I don't know what to do with that. Like when do you give somebody the just thinking of you? Like but when though? When you're thinking of them? Yeah, but like it's just weird. So I couldn't just, I had to be, a special day or whatever. And I felt like God was like, listen, your birthday ain't nothing but a Monday. Why don't you take it on the weekend? Because he's always, especially in this time period, he's team take something. He team takes something. Because, now I know, like I was resisting. Bruh, is this the thing I was going to say earlier? Bro, I'm just going to have to tell the story again. I can't, because now I'm like, did I tell it earlier on this thing? I can't even. Feel like I would have told this already. But sorry, this is gonna be so crazy. Yeah, I had this childhood memory of like um being at my friend's house, and she had like one of those little kiddie pools or whatever. I had to be like 6 or maybe 7 tops, but like just the house that I was in, I could have been more than 7. And she was like trying to get me to, like, I was trying to put my head underwater, which I had not yet successfully done yet, because I don't know, like I forget how everything was like a big deal for me. Like to go skating for the first time, it was like I just had fear of everything. Like anything that was like over the top, anything that wasn't like walking around, I had like this mild fear. So like I wasn't going to the pool and like jumping into the pool and all this stuff. Like, I don't know, we probably didn't even go to pools. Like, we definitely didn't go a lot. So, I mean, we lived in Oklahoma, so it wasn't a lot of like, I we had the Boys and Girls Club. We didn't have the YMCA, not really. But yeah, so we already weren't really doing that stuff, so I was already at a deficit, and then I just was 6 or 7, however old I was, and I hadn't put my head under the freaking water, and I was obsessed with progress at that age, even at that age. So I was trying to like do it, and my friend was in the pool with me, and eventually, like after the 3rd try, she's like, "Yeah, you're not, you're not even close." Like, and I just remember that moment because it was just like, oh, because I was like really trying. I wanted to do it. I was trying desperately. And to have somebody like on the outside watching, going like, yeah, you're not even whatever. And that became, that was a familiar refrain throughout my life. All the different things, all the different things you try, like as a child or whatever. And so yeah, like he was tugging on that, that feeling, but like, because it was like, okay, am I a junkie now? He's like, you're not even close. I'm like, like that was what this season was. He's like, I need you to take something else. You're going to need to, like I'm always at the last minute, like taking a half, saying I'm going to do half and do a quarter. Like I'm trying to not do this, like, trying to still technically do what he's telling me to do. And he's giving me the room to be me while I'm doing that. But, it was the strategy of just like having me do that. It's like for the first season, it was vibes and we were just hanging out. And then by the end of that, he told me, this is what you're going to do. It's like if he had tried to do that all at one time, I would not have trusted the voice. Like if he had started with, this is what you're going to do, you're going to be junkie for me. Like I'd be like, okay, so the devil is just out here. You know what I'm saying? But he started with just, he had me get acquainted with him in a different way, sort of like not paying attention. So I recognized the voice by the time he said what he said as the voice that had already been talking to me. So it's like, even if I wasn't sure if that was God, it's like, do you want to continue this relationship with this voice that is now talking to you? You know who that is. So it was like, he was able to ask me to do something that was blatantly like crazy because he had already built, the trust and the rapport up to that point enough to where I could not ignore it. But then that's when he was like, yeah, you got a double mind. So now he's doing something even more familiar, that and breaking it down to me. And he's never like saying, he's still wanting me to make the choice, but he's like, listen, you have to make the choice. You're like skirting and you're trying not to make a choice, and I'm telling you, you have to make one. He wasn't really like, I don't know, whatever you would think coercion or flattery or whatever you think would be like not an indication that it couldn't be God kind of thing. Very much into me making the choice, but also like telling me what it is, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, then that morning, the next morning, or was it it was the morning that ended up being the birthday weekend? Yeah. So it must have been the night before. Bro, so I just so I took it the next day. So it'd have been Friday and Saturday. Or maybe it was a day in between. I don't know. I just remember in the middle of the night, like, that's when that really started up heavy, where I could like feel the spirit on me at night. And it started after I started taking these chocolates, like, which I know sounds crazy to somebody out there who isn't me, but like, I don't know, after like, 12 hours, 24 hours, 36 hours, like you shouldn't still be feeling things from drugs. So I know, and the Holy Spirit's been doing this with me for 2 years. So I know that it's him, but it's like, I don't know what the drugs are doing, but they seem to be doing something that causes, that realm to just be like interacting with me like a lot heavier and stuff. So I was in the middle of, I was sleeping, and like he's telling me stuff in my sleep now, and typically I don't remember it or whatever, but I try to even remember the gist and I can't, but I know what it is while I'm dreaming. I just remember, I just can't tell it to anybody because I don't have any details anymore. You know what I'm saying? And so This one I did remember because I remembered particularly one thing and the rest I forgot. But he said, I am your genie. And that's pretty funny, like when you think of certain things. So apparently, I did a video 8 years ago about uh, sheep and wolves. And I listened to it the other day and I couldn't believe what I was hearing because it was basically the same information that I'm going to tell you, which was like beyond just like, where is this in the word? It's like, I wasn't saying that when he was telling me the exact same thing 8 years ago, but I didn't know how deep it went because I hadn't taken any drugs. Like it was the same. Like it's like if you turn that video on, it's basically what I'm going to tell you that he told me uh 2 seasons from now. We will get there though, I promise. And it's pretty interesting before then, at least it was. Now I have to do this live. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Lord. So what was I talking about before all that? Oh, it's getting meandery, mate. Oh yeah, I am your genie. Thank you, Holy Spirit. So he told me that, and yeah, I brought up that video because in it I addressed this comment that was said by someone at a prominent megachurch about the Holy Spirit being. She pictures the Holy Spirit as the genie from Aladdin or something, and it was a big deal. You know, it was a big to do. It was like, how dare she? And the video spread. And I'm not, um, I'm not saying that she didn't say that God told her that. I'm telling you that that's what God told me. She just saying, like, I picture him as that. And yeah, maybe you can consider that being problematic. It's like, this is how I see him as this without him telling you what he is, technically. But like at the time, it was a big to do. And I apparently was not on the side of that, which I wouldn't have been, I guess. I wasn't on that side until God literally came and told me that information. Now, I don't know if that applies to everybody. I know why he told me that. So that's why it's dangerous and not wise to go off of what someone is telling you God did or said to them, because he literally has like a whole ass unique relationship for you. So I mean, it's unique. It's like it's like he using special tools on it. So we don't understand how egregious it is to just stop at what someone else said and just do what they said and never go to him. So that's what he told me, because, and I'll try my best to explain it to you about me, my context. I am shit at asking. There it is. You know what I'm saying? I have a terrible time asking for anything. It's just so bad. I don't know what the trauma was that caused that. It's gone now, so it doesn't matter, or it's, being resolved at least. But, it was just bad. So, I think he was encouraging me in his way to not only start asking, not like, hey, maybe you should start asking more. It's like, I'm going to go, yeah, and never ask. You know what I'm saying? He had to give me the exaggerated. But I don't think that was a lie. Like, I think that, if he's saying he got genie energy, that means his nature is a certain way. The genie is technically a slave. If God's doing it, that's because he want to do it. So the genie owes something to somebody or something, or he got imprisoned or something. That's why he giving you your wishes. God giving you your wishes because that's how he is. That's what he'd be like, and a lot of people just go, yeah, right. Like, why would, and then they never find out for themselves. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, why are you still talking? I can tell you now that anybody still saying that is saying that because they don't know for themselves. I can tell you that. So anyway, and then I feel like he told me that, for the same reason, like while I was asleep, rather than telling me like while I was awake in any fashion, because I'd have just been like, okay, guy, you're a Daniel. Oh, yeah, right. Okay, what? Like, and maybe I would eventually came around, but maybe he wasn't in the mood for that, because when I was asleep and he told me that, I remember I was like, really? Wow. Like, you know what I'm saying? I was like, what? Oh, that's so cool. Like, I remember that. So I think it'd be easier to talk to us when we sleep, because we, even knowing what we know about sleep, we still, that it makes us, whatever information we have is still going to make us less guarded when we're asleep. You know what I'm saying? So, um, so yeah, he told me that, and I was like telling my mom about that morning, and I started telling her that I had this idea for land, because we want to get like a family compound. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of been a plan, like a 5-year plan for like 2 years. So, I don't know. It felt like we were supposed to get on that or something, or I don't know. I felt like he was bringing it to my attention, but it's also like, a lot of our blessings came through, getting our house, our current house, and the previous house, and the house before that. So, I'm always looking for the next time to jump, so I felt like he was bringing it up to me. So I was telling my mom about that. And, yeah, I don't know. We just were jazzed up, and I was telling her a little bit about what was going on, but it was like really, really, really sparse. I just been saying, it was literally just, God has been talking to me. You know what I'm saying? So I was telling her about I'm Your Genie, and yeah, so then I was full of faith, prayed a prayer, and I literally like took the other half and prayed a prayer over it and stuff. It was just all like, that was probably the first time that I had managed to take it without any trepidation, which I feel like God is making me say right now, because that's important. And I just forgot about that. But like everything else was like, had some fear attached to it. And I don't know, I was expecting the drug to do the work, and I was like about it. And that was the first time that I took it without any, like, I didn't fear him, or I wasn't worried or whatever. It was like I let go of that double mind, you know what I'm saying? That I thought was helping me. And it was only like wasting time and hindering me from really seeing what who was talking to me. And so yeah, that was season 2, episode 5, girl. That's when it changed the whole game. That was basically, the first episodes what started it all. That was like, the equivalent of that, because stuff started kicking in. Like, we can break it down on a scientific level about what's causing that, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But be that as it may, like, I knew what I was going to be doing from that point on. It was like, there was an intensity there that wasn't like just the CBD alone or weed alone. It would be overly intense, and that's it. This was like, I don't know, it was, doing something where it was making my imagination just like insane. So yeah, like what did I say that? I gotta recross it out. I don't know about what you want me to tell about the prayer. Babe, you had me do this whole thing over because I'm saying things that I did not say in the other one. Oh my gosh. Why do you want me to tell them that, babe? All right, so that episode, which is the birthday episode, also known as, even though it was the weekend before. But yeah, he came through talking about happy birthday. He came to talking about happy birthday. Listen, and the thing lasted. It was like 12 hours. 12 hours. Like, anyway, at some point, I started praying prayers, and after that whole "I am your genie," he had me all gassed up that I could just pray any old thing, right? And then I'm like, high shit. Hey, like, pray a prayer, because at this point I'm like, this is like this is too crazy. This is too whatever. He keeps saying that I'm the only one, and I don't know what that means at the time, but you got to infer. And I'm like, and now I'm like high enough to consider some shit. And I'm like, yeah, but it don't vibe, because we've already talked about, I have this thing about I don't know, I went through this whole thing in season 1 about wanting to be the only one, or it was like, I got really high. I didn't say this either. Hey, you're so silly. So I got high in season 1, and I was like envisioning myself. We were like, I don't know, I was doing something, and I just started saying, I want to be the only one. I want to be the only one. I want to be the only one. And it got like really cartoony, to the point where it was like, I then had to make a thing of myself, like looking at it like, what is that? I was like, what is that? And he's like, I don't know. I was like, he's like, it's not like you want to be the only one. I was like, but that's ludicrous. Like, that's not even something I would say. That's not even something I would ask of anybody. Like, what? And then it's like, it picked back up. I was like, I'm the only one. I want to be the only one. I want to be. It was like weird. And I was just like, I'm sorry that we're having to do this. He's like, what's wrong with wanting to be the only one? I'm like, that's selfish and weird. He's like, why is it weird? I'm like, it's weird because you're God, and what only one, what am I even talking about? I don't even know what I'm talking about, because it's so whatever I'm requesting is something I would never request in real life of anything or anybody, and definitely not God. It was just weird. But he was instead of telling me anything about it, he just asked me a question. So he's just like, why do you think that's bad? He's like, you still haven't explained how that's bad, though. So, yeah, that was just, I remember that. And so I still am wrestling with it, because I don't think that it's reasonable to say that. But it's like, I had to acknowledge that it was in there. And I know it's like, okay, he says, I put that there. It's like, okay, well, that's great. But I having to live that out is like, what are we talking about? So by this point, I'm super zooted. And he telling me that I am the only one, which made me panic, initially. And then he's saying it again. And I'm like, but I'm not beautiful or anything. I mean, it just seemed like a crime. It's just like I know I can get up there, blah, blah, blah. I know how the theology works. Whatever. Or just, what the Lord is attracted to is not anything physical, blah, 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 blah. I know all that stuff, but that still was what I said. That's what I said. And, when you're out there, what you say is what you said. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I said. That's what came out. And he didn't tell me, don't say that about yourself. he didn't say, this is how I see you. He said, pray a prayer. Lay it. I didn't have to think about it. As soon as he said that, I knew exactly what to pray, bitch. So I don't know if it I gotta assume that the prayer works. I prayed to be a prayer girl. Here you go to prayer right here. And it was really weird too, because I did this thing where I was like, dude, I felt like I could see the Father. Like I couldn't see him, but it was like the sun, you know what I'm saying? There was just this beam of light. It was like I looked and I was like, I got it. Hold on. I'll be back. I was like, I'll be back. And it was like I could see the Father. And I had my mouth up like this. I was like, Father. Girl. Zooted. Hi, girl. I was like, Father, make me the most beautiful motherfucker he's ever seen. Okay, just you know what he you know what I'm saying? Just do that thing. Make me that in Jesus' name. The craziest prayer. Have you ever even heard of such a prayer? If I said that, if I made that story all nice and neat and said that prayer and said that story in a church service, girl, people be crying. That shit been so appropriate. This is what I'm saying. Why am I the only person? Every time I get a bitch get high, it get biblical out here. Every time. It was sparse in the beginning because I didn't even know what's going on. I'm going, hey, is anybody else like seeing the Lord when they go? Because I'm up to 2 times. Is anybody else? Now it's every time. So y'all don't even know what he be telling me. Y'all can't even imagine. And I'm not saying this to I consider myself patient zero. You understand? Ain't nobody trying to make no money. Ain't nobody trying to be your whatever. Look at me. I'm not trying to be your whatever. Do I look like a bitch ready to leave a house and go tell you? Why do I need to do that? Go try this out. If you, especially if you have been down this road and you know this road that I'm talking about, and you've been way further along it than me. If you, this is why, I kept a super, super double wrap on it, because I literally am in a in-law family of people who deal with drugs. And so I feel like the Lord knew that, and he used that because it made me get extra scientific with this before I go blabbing my mouth saying some weird, irresponsible shit. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, every time. And, I'm going to tell you what he showed me, but I feel like I should just let you know where this is going. I'm going to let you hear me out. But, yeah, that's what's happening. So I prayed that prayer. And what I love about it is I love the fact that he didn't try to, say whatever. He just said, pray a prayer. And then after I prayed it, I was I felt like I had the right to, now I have the right to claim it. You know what I'm saying? Because it's even if we're just talking about faith, we're not talking about attributes. We're not talking about what you're naturally born with. That's because that was that was the crux of what it was. It's who should just get to do that? That's not fair. That's not fair to anybody. You know what I'm saying? That I would be the only one of anything. So for him, when he did that, it was okay, well, only one of you has prayed the prayer. And then I did something petty a month later. I don't know. It's probably 3 weeks later, because I got I don't know. Was I a good girl? I said, remember that prayer? I was like, Father, if nobody has prayed that prayer, anyone else has prayed that prayer by now, close it up. Like, make it not prayable anymore. Isn't that petty? I don't know if you got that or not, girl, but I'm like, listen, y'all, if y'all wanted that, you should have prayed that. I prayed the prayer. This is what I get. He want to give it to me. I'm taking it. Now it's logical. That's going to be a theme too. Now it's logical. So I don't know what it does. I don't think like I'm like the bride of Christ or anything. He's already explained that to me because I'm like, I'm always hammering him for more information, like, you know, because I got to have something to say to you people. So that's not like I'm like the end all, like it changed meanings as the seasons went along. Okay. So, you know, I wish you were as blind as I was, but I don't think you would stick with it as well as I did. So, but yeah, it changed meaning. But at that point, I did not know what he meant by that. I was confused. But I sure prayed that prayer though. Dude, that was the wildest thing. That, first of all, that's probably the best prayer I've ever prayed, and I did it while I was zooted. So that happened. It was great. Where are we at? We got to be more than halfway. Come on now. Okay, I did that. Okay. So, yeah, after that, because that was literally smack in the middle of the season. Had 5 episodes, had done 5 episodes, had 5 to go. And the rest of it was just, you know, there was a theme, which I said very well in the first video. The theme of this season was attempting to embrace junkie status. And also, there was a second theme that I don't remember right now, but it should come up soon. Yeah, I still was, even though he's teaching me to have a single mind, and he was, you know, he was earning my trust more and more, I'm still, you know, waiting for the downside, waiting for, you know, when it turns dark and I find out this whole thing. Because now it's just getting like a too good to be true place. So that's still causing me to be on the lookout for when this thing turns dark, and somebody got to tell me that, yeah, this ain't real life. So, and then also part of me is curious. Like, you know, I'm waiting, like, when do I get there? It's like, if you're the devil, tell me now. Like, you know, but I'm really doubting that. I'm like, the devil thing ain't really working out no more. You know, there's always a place where it can resurface, like every time he takes me out someplace deeper. But it's like he can't sustain. What he gonna sustain this long? Like, and he's literally just a long hangout. Like, what are we talking about? I'm not asking him for anything, you know, I'm not asking him for good things or good things for bad. I'm not asking him for things at all. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, he's winning all of the mental debates, but there's still lots of debates. And let's see. He's like, don't say that. I'm like, okay. Yeah, so yeah, this is when it starts ramping up. The prophecy just coming back, whether a bitch wanted to or not. I'm singing like songs spontaneously to the Holy Spirit. Like, it's a whole thing. So, and you know, it was my birthday. Like, it was thoughtful. You know what I'm saying? Like, he like, that was the first thing that I heard was happy birthday. So, praise the Lord. That was that. And then I noticed the things that he's asking me to do, like, are changing, like, and they're like weird. So like, one of them was like, we already talked about how he was trying to get me to, like, you know, take more. It was like, you got to take more than what you're taking. Well, now it's like, okay, you found what you're supposed to take. Now take it more often. And I'm like, bro, chill. Like, is this real? Like, I don't want to do that because I like not only do I not really have a desire, but I'm also like relieved when I don't. It's like I know he told me that I was supposed to be junkie for him, but I'm just like I'm not really like trying to do that right now. Like, can I take a day off? Can I take a break? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's kind of that energy. So, and like I am like, what like I've always been doing is setting the pace or whatever. So, but it's like the things are getting more it's getting more in depth. It's like he's bringing me like childhood memories and stuff like that I haven't thought about in decades, that used to be, these sort of core memories that, would have been a core memory at 22 or something, but no longer. He's like bringing up all this stuff. And sometimes he'll be like, give me this. And I'll be like, invent a way to do it, mentally, immediately, what I'm saying? And he'll be like, give that to me. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, I didn't know I had it. Like, yeah, you can have it, whatever. Like, there wasn't anything that I was like, oh, but Lord. I was just like, okay. So, and then like from that, there's a lot of stuff that still comes up, like he'll bring back up, and then there's a lot of stuff that he's brought up once and I've never seen it again. So I don't know what he's doing. Like, I don't even got to know what he doing. He just doing. It's like whatever process is happening. If there's a cleanup, I don't even know the nature of it. He just doing it. He just said, give me this, do it, whatever, or taking me to this or that. And it's just like, okay. So we're vibing. Like there's a lot, the dancing is getting easier. The jokes are getting crazier. The language is getting crazier. All that good stuff. But he's managing it to keep it biblical. It's just like, how many times can your jaw drop in a single day? Like after a while, it gets less and less. Like you just get used to it. And so I don't even remember when it stopped getting like super weird. Because I like, listen to that first season, it was super weird. I don't know. I think it was just too high to ignore. It's like, maybe I'm doing this to myself. Maybe my own brain is feeding me my own, but it's like, I'm starting to not see a downside. Like, we'll just keep it like this. I'm biblical too. Like, I don't understand. Like the downside is shrinking as we are talking. So yeah, he's asking me to, like, and it's almost like he started with me. And like, so there was like this, like, as I was describing, it's like these experiences that are part therapy, part like just complete and total, like emotional ruination. And, it's just like giving me energy and like fortitude. It's just like, I mean, fed, getting water, I got nutrition, you know what I'm saying? It was just this nutrient rich time of putting stuff into me. Then he's saying, okay, your husband is my representative. You know what I'm saying? Like you gotta like learn to do these things and like obey him. Actually, it wasn't really like a lecture like that. So let me not even say that. Because there were specific things that, there's specific things that he wanted that I wasn't comfortable with doing. And tried to get comfortable and just was like, no, I don't, whatever, and by and large, we all know what the culture says about what things should be or whatever. And, safe, healthy, green flag marriages, blah, blah, blah. And, sometimes that vibes with the Bible, sometimes not. But by and large, we're all just doing what we are taught to do and agreed to do. Well, he telling me to just do whatever he wants you to do. And that started probably early in the season. And I was like, just adding it to the shelf of maybe like whatever, because it was pretty weird, but it was also like, I didn't have a super incentive to like drive it up the list, you know what I'm saying? But after a while, like I knew it was him saying that. And I was like, but why? I was like, why? Like, what? And he said, because you're scared. And that statement, it just read me like a book. Like, I don't know if that would resonate with anybody else, but I knew instantly what he was talking about when he said that. And, I think we talked a little bit. I don't know how long has it been. Was that today? I don't know, but we talked about like how I grew up and just being sort of a kid riddled with all types of fears. And so this is like, I gained this, for a while, I was like an assassin. I was trying to like execute my fear because I felt like it was just it was holding me back in all of these ways. I didn't like fully understand it, which he told me later, but yeah, I was just like, it had been a while since I had really like had this military type attitude toward anything that I was afraid of. So, I thought like as I was aging, like it was going away, it was lessening, but I think it was just, out of practice. You know what I'm saying? Because, when he said that, I was like, I had the energy to do it. And because I knew it wasn't about whatever we say that conventional marriage is about. It was about me, and it was God. Like I hesitate to even really explain it because the mystique of hearing that first thing that you hear God say, that you just don't think that that could even be possible. You like, and then later you understand, like, not only was it possible, like it was the obvious, how could you miss, like that's what he would do. It's like he's breaking things down in here and building things back up in here. Then it's going to move to the people closest to you. And he's going to start breaking things down in there and building things up in there. You know what I'm saying? So that's what he was doing. And he was using things that I could easily test out, you know what I'm saying? Like, while also being like a high risk thing in the way that we consider following God to be a high risk thing. Like, everybody has this like horrible worst case scenario. It's like, oh, if God tells you to kill somebody, you know what I'm saying? Or whatever. It's like, why are you just following a random voice telling you this or that? So, yeah, it was like, by doing that and going through the process and showing me how he works, it kind of dispels that for you, because you understand he's not going to tell you to do something to someone else. He's not going to tell you to do a job he could go do. First of all, like I just realized that. I'm like, why do that? Like, he gonna tell you to do something like that involves you. He's not gonna tell you to inflict pain on someone else. He gonna start with you, and then through that, you gain the trust through that, and then he takes it out to the next thing. He's not gonna start with that. He's not like, and he's not going to tell you to kill nobody. Like, he's just not going to. So, and I think people are afraid to fall in love with a voice that will eventually tell you something like that. And you got to just say that to maintain the relationship. And it's like, he's not a man that he should lie. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, he went out of his way to put that in there because he understands. Like, we're so used to mankind. We think like you like you have to know him to see like how the person is, like his personality closes off all of these channels that you think could still be there, and you like there's no fear of anything. But anyway, blah blah blah. The point is, he's telling me to do these things that are kind of weird, and I do them, and I'm talking about the results. I'm talking about 24 to 48 hour results. Like, I never seen results in my life. Like, I don't even feel like I seen anything I did result in anything good, like good or bad. Like, I just never saw it. You know what I'm saying? Like, this was the first time in my life I felt like, I was like, is this new age? Am I doing something new age? Because a bitch getting results immediately. Like, she went and bought this down at the voodoo place. Do you know what I'm saying? My husband's like, who even are you right now? Because I was doing these things, and it's not like I was doing things and I was like, oh, okay. And then I just did them. They were hard, they were scary. It was going past what I felt like should be a boundary. But guess like who was there when I was doing it? It's like, oh, it's kind of worth it to like do things that you're afraid of if the Holy Spirit just come and get right quick, like get right close to you and coach you through that. It's like, well, I guess that's not so bad. That's kind of like worth doing it. Like, so, I went beyond in trust, and like that's not the end of it. It's not like I did I did this, and then 48 hours, like everything was like I just saw results. You know what I'm saying? I saw something move, and and I had no fear. Like, or I had like overcame that fear. So I overcame something, so I had something to be proud about, like in not like a weird way, like because we overdo that whole thing. And at the end of it, I had two less things to worry about, or one less thing to worry about. One less thing to worry about. And it made things better, like, whatever. So I don't want to I know that's literally just one thing. He told me to do multiple things. So, and I saw results from all those things. So that's like when that started happening. And it was starting to sort of spill out like beyond me. So, but I was still like, I think by this time I still was like not saying anything. So like, my husband was like, "What made you decide to like whatever?" Because it was just out of the blue. He wasn't asking for nothing or nothing. It just happened. And what was cool about that, oh, Lord, you're amazing. What was cool about that is that the way he responded, it made me realize like he had never really like gotten like a gift before, you know what I'm saying? Or something that he didn't hustle for and was trying to like, you know, whatever. It's like that's what his life was, before we got married. It's like him being on the street and this and that. So he had like a lot of weird habits, and so it was so like out of left field for him that he was able to like really value it because he wasn't like expecting it at all. And it was like probably the first time and maybe ever that he even had that experience as a human being, because he just never lived like that. Everything was really like harsh and hard and rough and whatever. So, but at the same time for me, like, wait, now I went too far back. Now I don't remember what I was saying. So it just kind of like that surprised him, and it like he didn't. It made him realize things about me too, because he thought, it's like I don't think men always understand like what's going on. Well, why did I say that? I don't think that men always understand what's going on in our minds. So it made me realize like how he didn't really know what was going on in my mind and what my stance was, even though I thought I was saying, we were expressing ourselves clearly, but we really weren't. Like we were expressing ourselves like based on what we think the other person needs to know. Like, I don't know. I'm not explaining it right. But anyways, so so yeah, that was when that started up, and that was really intriguing. Also, like, there's this thing that happens where demands what? Oh, there's this thing that happens like where like after I'm like not high anymore, like I'm trying to remember things that happened, and I'm just like, all I know is a bunch of stuff happened. I cannot explain it to you what it was. Like, I might be able to get like manage to get a couple of tidbits of things that happened. But like when I like it's like I get returned and like there's all this stuff in the cloud. Like I can only remember it there. And I'm like, oh my gosh, remember that, remember that, remember that. And then, I've only been able to successfully bring a few things back from the cloud, but it's like literally like that's what it's like. Um, and then let's see. So, okay. So this is like one of the times, oh no, season 2. So this was the first time that I ended up telling a person about an outside person, which I just thought I would never do. And like when I did it, I was really like happy. I was just telling it to somebody who who used to go to church with me, but like doesn't really aspire to any belief. I think they're agnostic right now. So yeah, I told her about it. Or, I was like, yeah, so are you still like doing that whole not believing God thing or whatever? She's like, yeah. I'm like, bitch, I got something to tell you. I was like, you're probably the only person I can tell this to. I can't tell this to like a single Bible believing person. So I was happy. I feel like God gave me somebody to tell. But I was still like, I didn't feel great after it because I just remembered like how I felt when I first started leaving these. And like I left the first one on a whim. Like I just left it, just to have a record. And now I got all the stuff. And I remember I was adamant and I meant that shit. I was not going to share this with anybody. It was like, I can't tell anybody about this. I'm fine with that. I was going to go to the grave. I was going to go to the grave. Really, genuinely. And in a matter of weeks, I'm telling a person. It's like, what the hell's going on? That seems kind of fast. Well, no, it wasn't weeks. It was like 2 months or something. But still, that's way too fast. It's like, I don't know how much longer life you got to live, but like that's hella fast. Like, what are you doing? So needless to say, I did not know where this was going at this point. And that's still where I was at. And like usually like there's a pretty like stellar finale. Like I still, even after this, like I'm just doing the season thing to amuse myself and just I feel like it's a cool way to keep track of everything. But it became clear probably around the end of season 3, like I think he like honoring this like 10 season or 10 episode season thing that you're doing and like helping you write these things. Like so so yeah, every time like the episode 1 of all the seasons is always the most like insane because it's like I know what episode this is, like, and usually like after the 10th one I'm like, he can't possibly do something that's like a new season type thing. Like he can't possibly do that. Like he can't. Okay, third season, third time, I get it. Okay, he's not gonna do it a fourth time. He's not gonna do it a fifth time. He's not gonna do it a sixth time. So yeah, increasingly every season premiere is like, because I know I'm about to tell you about something that I know is the first episode. So I'm like, girl, season 4, episode 1, girl. Like, it's pretty funny. He's funny. So I know all this sounds probably really weird, but it is what it is. So, oh yeah, I don't think I did say this in this one, but yeah, I'm learning about like his leadership because we only have like a limited idea of it, but from the Bible being like, why do you call me Lord, Lord, and don't do what I say? So we think, oh, he probably pretty strict then because he said that or whatever. I don't know. Or we just kind of try to approximate it on, some ancient uh, standard of what a Lord would be and what his authority would be, blah, blah, blah. And he's literally just like, I didn't even notice it until I started saying it. Like he like he'll tell me to do things. It don't even really be dawning on me that they're necessarily commands. That's how mild it is. Because when I think about how he says things, they're all commands. Even though it's just about like silly stuff, like, or not silly stuff, but like, if I'm high, it's like, let's read this, read, Jeremiah, let's listen to this, let's, whatever. So like, in the beginning, I was hearing him, I was hearing someone who wasn't me, I'm saying, suggest like, let's do like, read that thing or whatever. And I'd be like, no, it's going to put me in a weird mood or whatever. And I was going back and forth. And then every once in a while, I'd be like, all right, well, let's just do what you said or whatever. And it would be like the perfect thing. And he'd be like, see, I told you, you know what I'm saying? And then, so after a while, I started to be able to catch myself when he would be like, let's do this. I'd be like, no. And I'm like, no, let's do it. And it ends up like, it just gets more, but he never is like, do what I say or else. Like, it like literally didn't dawn on me. Like I did that whole thing by myself, which I think is why he does it like that, where he'll let you do your own thing or whatever. And it's just like, I mean, and it's real. It's not like a thing of him sitting back and letting you do your own thing, like he's responsible for you. It's literally like when your friend is like, oh, play that song. Like it might not be like your favorite song, but your friend wanted to hear it. So you play it. You know what I'm saying? That's literally what it is. Like, I don't know if it would apply to outside things or whatever, but like other than hanging out, but this is how we're building it through hanging out. And that's what it is. By the time, if he ever has to be like super stern, I'm sure I'll be able to fall in line with that pretty easily because I'm doing it on the most subtle of levels and the most unserious of levels. So, when I hear him, like, if it got any more forceful, I would know, because even when it's gentle, I'm like listening for the command in it. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm taught myself to do that because he's showing like when he just does those things or when he's asking you to do something, it's for a reason, or it doesn't even have to be for a reason. It's just like, he probably got a better suggestion than you know what I'm saying? And for a while, I just thought it was my brain. You know how your brain like suggests things, even though he was there and he was saying it, I was still associating that with my brain and me being the one to make the choice. Like, or them both being me in a way, you know what I'm saying? Like sometimes you suggest things to yourself, blah, blah, blah. So, so yeah, that was an interesting thing. And let's see, what else was I going to say? Oh, yeah, I don't know. I did like a little bit of prophecy practice, but like it really shows up in season 3. I think that's actually how season 3 starts. So, I was doing some prophecy practice because I felt like I needed to like learn how to do it, you know what I'm saying? And like I did it on accident and that's how I started. And so I wanted to be able to do it sober, you know what I'm saying? Like, because it'd be more legitimate, whatever. So I felt like I had like, there was an ease to it, obviously, when I was high. So I was like, maybe I can learn like what I'm doing and take it back with me, like just learn the steps, get acquainted with it, and like, bring it back to, the land of rationale and use it there, you know what I'm saying? So, but I still wasn't that far yet, really. I was just, when I got high enough, I felt like I mean, all that started like by the time it was, episode 5 or whatever, but I still wasn't like doing a lot of it. I still wasn't doing a lot of practice. Um, but like, I'm trying to think. Oh, yeah, the finale of season 2 was pretty mild compared to the rest. It was just basically the culmination of what I was saying about like just being scared and him pushing me to take more. And I remember like I had done like, you know, I think episode 9 is just regular or whatever. But yeah, that was the time that he was like telling me to like, he would tell me like take one tomorrow or take one today or whatever. And like that was when I was like, dude, I've been doing very well. Like I feel like I should like have a break. But like, I don't know. It's funny even thinking about me saying that now. Like that's how it's just a completely like a break. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I don't know. I can't even explain it. But like at that time I was like, can I just like have a break? Because I'm just like not wanting to like plunge towards this junkie thing that he's trying to get me to do. And so um so yeah, I remember like that was another crying moment. I did do a lot of crying this season, but like there was another crying moment where I felt him sort of like be imposing when I was saying like I want to take a break, and then I felt like he was telling me like he wanted me to take something, and he was giving me like the fatherly energy because I felt like he was really like gonna be it was gonna be a problem if I didn't do what he said. Like it was gentle, but I could tell the difference a little bit. It was very kind of like the imposing. It's like so yeah, it was like real pitiful, right? So I was just like in my bathroom, like with this like just being dramatic. It's like when you're 5 years old and your dad, is telling you that you can't wear the pants, you know what I'm saying? You gotta wear the dress, and you're just like in the closet, like he like, well, we can cry, but you're not, this is what we doing. And you're just like, ugh. And just like being ridiculous. It actually was kind of nice. Like I never was really like that as a kid anyway. I didn't feel free to do that much. Like, I think by about 6, I probably had all that cleaned up, I'm saying, if I felt like I could do that. So I was totally just, he was giving me the fatherly energy, and I was totally in my like spit cry in the bathroom, be ridiculous, whatever. And then he did that for as long as he needed to do that. And then I finally took it and did what he said, and I cried. And then like the finale was like, yeah, and everything was good and we vibed. Like it was fine, and I was panicked for nothing, and it was great. Like it was like that. So that was probably the last, sort of unspicy finale, or the only one. Season one was pretty good. I was like, oh, that we gonna get we gonna get renewed. And then season 2 was like, oh, okay, what season 3 got? So that was the end of season 2, and yeah, one time he was like, "You're obsessed with good and evil." I think that was like season 1. That was like one of the early ones. I don't know. I was probably blabbing about the whole situation, and he was just like, "You're obsessed." Talking about like all of us. He's like, "You're obsessed with good and evil." So yeah, okay. So yeah, it's been 2 hours. I'm not really that zooted, so I might just have a chill day today. And then I don't know, I might have to do lives from now on, like, because I can't be risking. I mean, I handled it well, but that's now 3 hours now I've been sitting in this chair, you know what I'm saying? Trying to do the Lord's will. Like, that's pretty traumatizing, losing, an hour of footage. So I might have to just do lives from now on. I feel like he's nudging me in that direction. So we've been discussing the live for a while. So I'll probably be back whenever. If no one is back from being out of town by this time tomorrow. I mean, I'll probably start early tomorrow if I'm going to be here tomorrow, but yeah, hopefully within like the next couple of days, I'll have everything that I need to have documented. And yeah, because I'm sort of itching to get this like message out now. So okay, well, I'm gonna trust God. This don't seem like better than what I did, but as far as it being, I did discuss different things. So I think maybe that's why he wanted me to do that. But y'all be blessed. Where's my end stream? There we go. Oh, are you sure? Your stream will stop immediately and you will no longer be live. That's literally what it means to hit end stream. I guess it's just for people who accidentally hit end stream and they're like, well, no, right? All right, now I'm really gone, I promise, I think.